Hey everybody, long time no see. If you watched Mike's Bets, literally just saw you like 8 minutes ago, but hello and welcome to another episode of the Couch Warrior podcast. I'm your host, Mike, and today we're going to be breaking down Dana White's Contender Series Week 7 for next week's Tuesday card, and I am very hyped for this one. In my opinion, this is probably the highest level Dana White Contender Series card we've gotten this season. Next week's is probably going to make it a tough competition between the two cards, but we'll see. But there's a lot of top level talent here. I have a feeling that for a lot of these fights, even the losers are eventually either going to come back to the Contender Series for another performance, or they're just going to come in late notice in the UFC for, you know how that goes. But yeah, we'll jump right into it. If you didn't see my predicted odds, make sure to go on my Twitter, scroll down a little bit. I'll retweet it for you guys. And it's just the odds that I predicted before the real odds opened up. And it kind of just helps get a sense of maybe what I was thinking and how it might have opened up. I did call Bleda being a really big favorite, and I think I actually got it right, or ish. I think I said minus 350 or something. She came out to minus 300 or something like that. And immediately she got bet down. It's like minus 700 now on Bleda. But all right, let's hop right into it. So for this first matchup, we've got Tereza Bleda versus Nayara Maia. Bleda is 5-0. She's 5'9", and I do not have a reach for her, but I do think it's pretty long. She does have long limbs. She's very big for this weight class, so 5'9". You don't see that very often. And then on the other side, you've got Nayara Maia. She's 7-0-1. She's 32 years old, 5'5". And let me just double check. I do have her still training out of Nova União. And look, I'm not going to spend a tremendous amount of time on this one. I think that Bleda is the rightful favorite. And I think that even though minus 700 for, it's hard to call it low level, but a Dana White Contender Series women's MMA fight, a minus 700 favorite seems steep. But I don't think it's that bad because Bleda, I do fully expect her to run through her. I'm not going to be betting that money line. I'm going to be looking at props only here. I'm curious what the fight doesn't go is going to open up at. I'm curious what the under is going to open up at. I'm curious what Bleda by KO is going to open up at. And there is one prop on the Maia side I'm going to look at, all right? And I'm going to explain why. So what does Bleda do? Bleda is a really good striker. I really like what she does on the feet. She's got great output, which you don't see often in this weight class. She's got good combinations, and I really like her striking overall. It's crisp. It's fast, and just a lot to like. She's got 2 KO wins. She's never lost, so no KO losses, obviously. She's got 2 submission wins as well, and she's never lost, so she's never been submitted. So this is the prop I wanted to bring up with Maia. If you watch, I think it's the last 2 fights for Bleda, or they might not be back-to-back. I don't remember exactly, but when she shoots for her takedowns, which she does really well, she does have nice entries. She times them well, and once she's on top, her top control is so solid, and her transitions are on point. But I will say that she sticks her neck out, and 2 times her opponents caught her in guillotines. I think in one fight, the opponent did it twice. They caught her in a guillotine, and it was tight, like she got out of it. She's tough. She's more than likely not going to get subbed. But when she shoots, it's already happened twice. In other regional fights, she got caught in a guillotine. And if Maia does anything well, it's only her jiu-jitsu. So can she catch Bleda in a guillotine? She can, and I'm probably going to sprinkle her sub round number 1. Whatever it is, I think we're going to get a pretty crazy number. But Bleda all day here, man. She should run through her. So Bleda KO, Maia sub round 1. Fight doesn't go are the 3 ways I'm going to look at this once we get props out. We don't currently have them, so I can't really cap those right now. But this next one, I'm really hyped for this one. So quick nicotine break for this one because I'm mad hype. All right, we've got Ismael Bonfim versus Nariman Abbasov. And to be completely honest, neither of these guys have any business being on this card. They should just both be in the UFC. Like, they should have been signed regular. Like, Dana and Sean Shelby, like Mick Maynard, they've brought in guys on short notice in the lightweight division who are not nearly as good. I'm not going to name names. I'm not going to roast nobody, but these two guys are extremely talented and easily could have just gone straight to the UFC without going on this show. But at least we're going to have a really dope fight to watch on Tuesday. So both Bonfim brothers are actually fighting on this card. Ismael, I didn't realize he's actually the older one by 1 year. But anyways, for this fight, we've got Ismael Bonfim versus Nariman Abbasov. Bonfim is 17, 3-0, 26 years old. He's 5'8", although comparing him to his opponents who also are 5'8", according to Tapology, he appears to be a little bit shorter. He does train out of Cerrado MMA with his brother, and Vicente Luque's over there. I know that Luque trains more so with his brother and not him, different weight classes, but still a good camp for the striking department. There's a reason these guys are such good boxers. Their striking is so crisp. And then on the other side, you've got Abbasov, who's 28, 3-0, 28 years old, 5'8" as well. And he trains out of, I have it here, IK Fighting, at least according to his Instagram bio. So this one's really dope, right? Abbasov, you look at his record, you're like, wow, what is it, 28, 3-0? Like, he should be a beast. And I'll be completely honest with you guys. Like, when I first started watching him, I was like, damn, I don't know how good he is. I really wasn't sure how he even got to this record, to be completely honest. Look, there's a lot to like. Nonstop forward pressure. He doesn't stop striking. His output is really, really good. And what I liked a lot about him is, for example, like he'll throw strikes from everywhere and he'll find a way to land. For example, when he was fighting his last opponent, he would kind of throw him down and then find a way to strike from under the arm and just bop him in the face against the fence. And it was just very creative. And you could see in the clinch, he's dirty, so dirty in the clinch. The knees, just everything he does in there. And then at range is where he's a liability, in my opinion. He swings crazy. He'll literally just flurry and come running in, and he can get caught. I don't think he's ever been finished. Let me double check my notes. He's been submitted once. He's never been knocked out. But we have 10 fights on his Tapology that we don't have a winning or losing method for. So he could have been knocked out, could have been subbed more. We don't know. And he could have had more finishes than I have down, but we don't know again. So 8 KO wins on his side. He is a finisher. But on the other side, Bonfim, he's got 6 KO wins himself, 0 KO losses. And Bonfim, in my opinion, is probably the more technical striker here. He's going to be crisper. I think he's going to land more. I think he's going to land quicker. When you have a guy who's looping his strikes and you have a guy who's throwing down the pipe, it's going to be the guy throwing down the pipe with straight strikes who's going to be hitting the target first. So I do think Bonfim's going to find a lot of success on the feet. And originally, I was going to play him, but it was also because I expected Abbasov to open at minus 300. I thought there'd be way more hype on him, but he opened at minus 200 and immediately got bet down. I mean, Bonfim got bet down. So now Bonfim's a plus 110 favorite and Abbasov's only a minus 130 favorite. So now I'm thinking do I still want to play Bonfim? Because there's things not to like. Bonfim's output is low. That's a problem because Abbasov is not going to be low output. Abbasov is going to throw and throw and throw. Abbasov's cardio is questionable, but even in the third round after he was exhausted, he was still the one who was pushing the pace. Not third round, I'm sorry, in the second round in his last fight. So I do think that Abbasov's probably still going to be winning on the feet because Bonfim is going to be low output. I just think that Bonfim is going to be landing better. Can he get a finish that way? It's possible. I think he can catch Abbasov for sure. But I'm starting to lean Abbasov. And the other reason is, so if you look at I think it was the last fight of Bonfim. Let me look. Yeah, it was his last fight. He got in round number 2 and round number 3. He was getting held up against the fence and grappled a little bit. And his defensive grappling just didn't seem that great there. He did get caught in one fight where he went for a guillotine, so he ended up on bottom. I'm pretty sure he reversed it, though, so he does scramble well. But I think if anyone's going to have grappling success here, it's going to be Abbasov. It's not what he does often. He prefers to strike too. So I think this is going to be a striking affair for the most part. But if he's getting uncomfortable, I do think he might grapple. And I think Abbasov could find success grappling here. So look, when I thought he was going to be minus 300, I was all over Bonfim because I think Bonfim's live. But I think that Abbasov is more likely to win. So now that it's closer to minus 130, that's probably the way I'm going to be playing it. But it's still going down the other way. So I'm going to wait. If we can get Abbasov plus money or even money, like I'm going to be all over that one. So yeah, my lean is going to be Abbasov. I do think Bonfim is very live. He's going to be the much cleaner striker here, but I got to go with the guy who I think is going to have a higher output, who's going to be going for the kill more often, and who's going to really have that grappling in his back pocket. Whereas I don't think Bonfim's taking Abbasov down. I'd be shocked. So yeah, really exciting fight. And I'm hyped to see how that one plays out, but no bet just yet. Waiting on the odds to keep changing, and we'll see what we can get Abbasov at. All right. So for this next fight, we've got two heavyweights, and this is another really, really interesting fight. Like, you can't call it high level at all. You really can't, but it's two interesting fighters and two guys I think who are also going to end up in the UFC heavyweight division. So either way. So here we've got Jimmy Lawson versus Kevin Szaflarski. Also, I want to say I saw somewhere that this fight may be canceled. I have no real confirmation for that, and I couldn't find anything on it other than the one place I saw it. So we're going to pretend that, or we're going to assume right now that the fight is still happening, but just something to consider. Anyways, Lawson, wrestling background. He wrestled for Penn State. He qualified for the NCAAs, and I believe he was state champ three times. So he does have really good wrestling, but there's been some issues too. I'll talk about it in a second. So for this fight, we've got Jimmy Lawson for 1-0. Oh my goodness, sorry. He's 6 feet tall, 79-inch reach, and he's training out of Killer B Combat Sports. Szaflarski on the other side, he's 11-1-0, 27 years old, 6'6", right? So he's got a 6-inch height advantage here, 82-inch reach. So he's got what is that? That's a 3-inch reach advantage. And he trains out of Academia Sport at Tau, but he also trains out of, one second. Apparently, he spent time at Renzo Gracie's over in New York. I don't know how much time. I don't know if he's there now. His Instagram is on private, so I can't see it. But we're gonna go with the Academia Sport out for now because he is from Poland, so that's what we're gonna go with here. And yeah, I'm on the dog here. I'm on Szaflarski here, and to be completely honest, I thought that Szaflarski was gonna be the favorite here. He's so much bigger. He's 6'6". He's 11-1-0. I understand his competition has been crap, but so has Lawson's. All right. Like, other than Saeed Salma, who's not amazing either, Lawson hasn't fought anyone good. Like, let's pull up his record real quick. Marino Eatman, 5-4-1 when they fought. He finished him in 30 seconds, pretty much, just over that. Anthony Garrett, 6-3-0. Justin Richwine, 1-2-0. Edwin Smart, 3-2-0. We actually just saw Edwin fight, I think last week. It was in CFFC 112. So that's the fight that really gave me like concerns with Lawson, right? Because you look at Lawson, and his striking is actually decent for a grappler. I like it. Usually you have these wrestle boxers who will tend to swing their strikes a bit. Not the case with Lawson. He actually throws straight strikes. His jab is good. His 1-2 is good. His combinations are good. But he's sloppy, and he's very hittable, all right? He's very hittable. He's getting hit in the regionals against guys who have no business beating on him. And, I mean, not beating on him. No one's beating on him here, but landing on him. And you look at the one fight that he lost by decision to Salma, what happened? He couldn't get a takedown, and then he just lost on the feet over 3 rounds. The Edwin Smart fight, who got the takedowns in that fight? It wasn't Lawson. It was Smart. It was Smart getting the takedowns in that fight, which was super weird. And Lawson ended up finishing him, but it was like not a good look. It was not a good look at all. And then you look at Szaflarski, and you know, he's not some like animal. He's not like top tier, but I actually like his striking quite a bit. He's pretty technical for a heavyweight. Great jab, honestly, like a really nice jab. Nice 1-2. I like the combinations, and I like how he mixes up the strikes. His striking defense seems pretty good, but he does like kind of back up in a straight line. And I think Lawson, with the way he can explode forwards, can catch him that way. So he's got to be careful. His own offensive grappling is pretty decent. Nice trips off the cage. Normally, I'd say I don't expect him to be able to do that to a guy like Lawson with that kind of wrestling pedigree. But like, if Edwin Smart can do it, I feel like Szaflarski could probably do it too. And here's what I think is really important here. Szaflarski has very solid takedown defense. Yes, it was on the regional, so we don't know exactly how it's going to look against a guy like Lawson. But if Lawson's shooting and going for these takedowns, even if he's getting them, how likely is it going to be easy for him to hold down a guy who's 6'6"? It's not going to be easy. And every time Szaflarski gets up and Lawson's got to use that energy to hold him down and get him back down, he's going to exhaust himself. And I think Szaflarski's going to be live as the fight goes on. I think he could be live for a late finish. And he's got 4 sub wins, so that's a sneaky way to look at it. Maybe if Lawson starts shooting sloppy, he can get a front choke. So, yeah, I like Szaflarski here. I got him for plus 140. He's at a better price tag now. He's currently, let me check it out for you guys, plus 150. There was a point where he was even higher than that, but he got back down. I like Szaflarski to win this fight. I think he's got more ways to win it. So I do favor him here, and I played him for 2 units, which is scary for lower level heavyweights, but I do like him to win this fight. All right, this fight's going to be mad fun. I'm telling you guys right now, it's going to be such a dope fight. All right. So for this fight, we've got Gabriel Bonfim versus Trey Waters. Gabriel is 12-0. He's 25 years old, 6'1", 74-inch reach, training out of Cerrado MMA. He's Vicente Luque's primary sparring partner, apparently. And his opponent, Trey Waters, is 6-0, undefeated as well. 6'4", so he's got a 3-inch height advantage. 77-inch reach, so he's got a 3-inch reach advantage. And I have him training out of Elevate MMA. So here's the thing with Waters, right? Waters was a huge underdog in his last fight against a guy who grapples, right? And the guy was winning the fight. He was winning the fight by holding Waters against the fence. He didn't really have much success taking Waters down. And in round number 3, right, there's not much left to the fight. I think it was maybe a minute left or less even. And Waters was being held against the fence. And the ref, he separates them. And immediately the other guy comes running in. And Waters just throws up a knee like Dan Hooker style all the way up and just bops him on the chin. And the guy knocks out and Waters wins. It was really dope. It was a really nice move. And it's what got him this fight. He's a short notice replacement. The original guy was Felix Klinkhammer, a German fella I haven't gotten to look into yet, but I know that he is a good fighter too. But Trey Waters makes this a really interesting matchup, and I'll explain why. So Bonfim, if you look at him, you look at the camp, you hear about the camp, you assume he's just a striker, and he is a really good striker. You look at his, like, there's just so much to like. Like, it's honestly like, it's fun to watch. Like, it's so clean. His output is so good. Like, he's crisp, he's fast, he mixes up the targets, his combinations are there. The 1-2 is so slick. I mentioned that the jab is really good. He's a Brazilian national boxing champion. Take that as you may. I think he only had like 5 boxing fights, something like that, unless I got that wrong. But his boxing is super good. And then he's also his grappling, man. Like, for a guy who's such a good striker, he's only got 1 knockout win, but he's got 8 submission wins. Like, the guy's finishing with subs pretty often, and he's really slick with the way he goes for them. His takedown defense is really solid, and his own wrestling is very good. He's got nice trip takedowns. He's good at chain wrestling. And what I mean by that is that if he can't get that first takedown, he'll keep going and going till he gets the guy down, and then he's really dangerous on the mat. Now, Waters, he's being overlooked a little bit, I think. I mean, I think the odds are right. I do think they're right because I think Bonfim has him covered, but Waters is a really good striker, and if this is going to remain on the feet, he's going to be live the entire time. Like, you watch his striking, super fast, uses his length really well, extends just enough to like be able to like be really out of reach, but not where he's kind of putting himself to the point where the opponent can take him down easy. His 1-2 is really good. Like that knee that he knocked the guy out with, he just brings it up so fast. Like he does start to slow down quite a bit and starts to overextend more and more as the fight progresses. So I think that's when Bonfim's really going to find success. But Waters is dangerous, man. So I think the smart move for Bonfim is to use his wrestling and his grappling and his particularly his BJJ to finish this guy and submit him. And I'm probably going to be playing his sub prop. I did play Bonfim money line minus 250 for 2.5 units. It's chalk, but I think that Bonfim is just a top prospect. He's going to be really legit. I think he's ready for the UFC. But I do hope that Waters gets signed, even if he loses later on. I hope he gets signed quickly because I really like Waters too. I really, really do. If this was a different matchup, it's very likely I'd be betting him. I think there's a lot to like about Waters. And the more he improves his takedown defense, the better he's going to get. But not here. Here I'm on Gabriel Bonfim. And we're going to move on to our main event of the evening. So, for those who don't know, this is a rematch. For this fight, we've got Rodolfo Bellato versus Vitor Petrino. Bellato's 8-1-0. He's 6'3". I don't have an age here, but I'm pretty sure he's either 26 or 24. 6'3", and I have him training out of Sparta MMA over in Brazil, not at Team Nogueira right now. And then Petrino on the other side, he's 6-0, undefeated as a pro. 25 years old, 6'2", so he's given up 1 inch in height, and he is training out of CM System, another good Brazilian camp. So, like I mentioned a few seconds ago, this is a rematch, right? And what happened in the rematch? So first off, the rematch, my guy MMA Jesus in the chat, thank you for tuning in, man. Dude in the thumbnail looks like a mix between Whitaker and Nathaniel Wood, and the other guy looks like a jacked Zach Pauga. Which one's which? I can't tell which one's which. But I don't necessarily see it, but you let me know which ones you're talking about. But yeah, so their first fight, it was Petrino's debut. I believe it was in 2019. And what happened was Petrino just got a knockout in like 30 seconds. And I knew that the line was going to look similar to what it is because of that, because of the way us MMA gamblers tend to kind of be forgetting the term, short memory, right? A lot of recency bias. There it is. But I really do think that even though he lost the first fight, I think Bellato is going to win this fight, man. I think that Bellato has more ways to win this. So you look at who they've been fighting. It's also pretty important. Petrino, other than Antigulov, he has fought absolute nobodies. Just terrible opposition. He fought Antigulov for his last fight. If you guys remember Antigulov, he was in the UFC, had an awful stint, is not that great, definitely not UFC caliber. And Petrino struggled with the grappling of Antigulov. In round number 1, he was getting out grappled significantly. In round number 2, it was something he had to deal with. He ended up finding the finish because he does have a lot of power, and his striking is no joke. He does have good combos. He is crisp. I really do like what he does on the feet, but he can get sloppy. He can overextend, and he got taken down in the Eduardo fight. I mean, no, I'm mixing them up. I'm sorry. But he was getting taken down by Antigulov because he was overextending a bit. Now, Bellato on the other side, right? You look at who he's been fighting. Also, not the best guys, but at least his last 2 fights were in the LFA, and the LFA does tend to make these fights a bit more competitive. They're not really always setting it up too easy for people. And he had great performances there. He really did. Like his grapplings looked really good. His takedowns looked very solid. His ground control, he can overextend and get taken down himself, but every time he'll scramble and end up on top anyways. He's got really slick transitions on the ground. His back take is really clean. 3 sub wins. I think that he's live to sub this guy, man. And I think he can knock him out too. 50% subs. 50% of his finishes were by sub. 50% of his finishes were by KO. And also something to note, Bellato if you look at his Instagram, he's a BJJ brown belt apparently, whereas Petrino, if you look at his Instagram, he's a BJJ blue belt. So I just think that Bellato has more ways to win here. I think he's a good striker as well, and I think he has the grappling to lean on. Can Petrino touch that chin and knock him out again? Of course he could. Of course he could. I understand why he's a favorite, but I just think that 30 seconds for their first fight isn't enough to gauge how this fight's going to go. I mean, it's almost impossible to get anything from that other than maybe like Bellato's chinny, but is he really chinny if that's his only knockout loss? So something to think about. I am on Bellato. He's plus 175 now. That's the price I got. I played that for 1 unit. I just think that he's got more ways to win. So to get him as an underdog and a fairly big underdog, I like it. You know, Petrino is a little bit just too dependent on the striking. And while on the feet, sure, he's going to be live the whole time and it's going to be a close fight. But I think overall, Bellato is live to win this. I think he's going to be the better man in the grappling at least. So MMA Jesus is saying, what do you attribute to the Dana White Contender Series underdog percentages this year? Break it down for me. You know, I was actually thinking about this the other day during the last Contender Series fights on Tuesday. And I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, you have to imagine it's because like the question is it a bad read by the bookies or is it a bad read by the public who then bets these lines and changes them up, right? Like, for example, look at Kim, right? The bookies opened Kim at plus 300 and they opened Simon at minus 300 or whatever it was. It was Simon minus 300, Kim. Yeah, Kim was plus 300. I know that because I played it. But that might suggest that it's the public that's kind of messing this up, right? Because then Kim got bet all the way down and the line flipped. And what happened? Simon ended up winning that fight and he won it by finish. So maybe it's just a lack of us as the betting public. Maybe we're just moving these lines incorrectly. Maybe it's hard. You know, it's really hard to get a read. I think that's what it is. It's hard to get a read when they're fighting lower level competition. For example, look at Aileen Perez, right? Fighting this weekend in UFC Paris. She looks amazing on her tape, but we have no way to gauge it because she's beating up people who have no business being in that cage. Her level of opposition is awful. She looks really good, but we can't tell just how good she is. So I think that's a problem. I think that's probably why we keep moving these lines the wrong way. I say we because, you know, sometimes it's me, sometimes it's not. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I don't make mistakes. I certainly do. So I think that's probably a big thing of it. I think it's just really hard to get a read because one guy might look not great, but he's fighting really good competition on the tape. The other guy might be looking fantastic, but he's beating up janitors. So I think that's probably a big thing. And yeah, I can't really think of what else it is because like they're doing fairly even matchups. Yeah, I feel like that's probably going to have to be it. If anyone else has any theories, I'd love to hear it. I think that's a super interesting thing to talk about because it's been kind of crazy, right? Every card, just dog after dog after dog is hitting. Very few favorites. So yeah, I really do think it's the public, right? Like here's another example. Builder Morgan only opened as a minus 155 favorite, which made sense. But then he closed as like minus 260 or something, right? And I think that's because he was getting like the competition of Builder and what he was doing in the LFA was getting overlooked compared to what I don't know if it was LFA or CFFC. I don't remember exactly, but it was getting overlooked. And Morgan, you know, he's fighting guys mostly in the Canadian regional scene, and it's just not as high level. So I think that's probably what it is. But anyways, my pick here is Bellato, underdog, plus 175. Played it for just 1 unit. And yeah, so look, I have 3 plays already made. I have that one, Szaflarski, 2 units, money line, plus 140. And I also played Gabe Bonfim at minus 250 for 2.5 units. The only other thing I'm probably going to be, so there's two fights still left that I want to bet, but I don't know how yet. The Bonfim Abbasov fight, I'm probably going to go with Abbasov. I'm curious to see how the line keeps moving. And for the Bleda fight, it's unbettable money line because I think Bleda is going to destroy this woman. But as I mentioned earlier, Bleda has a tendency to get caught in gillies, so I am going to sprinkle Maia's round 1 sub prop. I bet we're going to get a nuts number, so I'm going to sprinkle that. But I'm going to look at Bleda KO I'm going to look at not inside the distance. I'm going to look at fight doesn't go the distance and the under as well for that fight, because I think that's going to be violence. Bleda's an animal, man. It's going to be really fun watching her in the UFC. But yeah, that's it. That's a wrap. Thank you to anybody who's tuned in. Appreciate all of you guys. Real quick, my guy saying, but aren't the big initial line movers when lines are dropped mostly coming from the sharks or people that bet? Nah, actually not, because the limits are actually pretty low when these lines first open up, at least for a lot of them. So I would say that it's not necessarily sharks. I mean, it could be a guy just betting it maybe a few thousand, I mean, you can call that a shark, depends what you consider. But it's also like, just because they bet MMA seriously, it could be a Gianni situation. Like, he's betting big money. He's betting in general sports, but like seriously. But I don't think that people, I don't know, like if you're really betting MMA seriously, nobody's perfect, right? I mean, nobody's perfect. I like to think I bet seriously. I don't bet tremendous amounts of money, but I don't know, man. Honestly, no clue. The only thing I could think of for the reason the dogs are winning is just, mistaken lines. But it just seems like the bookies are kind of opening them up decently. Like, I feel like they're not too off. I'm looking at best fight odds. I kind of want to look back real quick at the other Contender series ones that happened this month, but I don't know how to do that. It's going to take some time. But anyways, thank you guys for tuning in. Appreciate all of you. I see 6 people in the chat now. Make sure to run this back. And yeah, good luck, guys. Good luck this weekend. I'm already working on the next week's Contender series fights. Ikram Aliskarov is going to be on that card. Super exciting. His only loss is Khamzat Chimaev. So yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. Peace.